Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here, and I've got a bombshell of a report to share with you guys. And this one, we are going to dive in deep with State Representative Kelly Townsend and kind of just get into the nitty gritty of what's going on with our mayors and our governors all across the country, because there are so many dictates and mandates and lockdowns and measures that are coming as a result. And many of us are literally saying goodbye to many of our freedoms that we held for years. So I wanted to kind of bring her on to give us some of the inside information that maybe we are missing in order to put those puzzle pieces together. So she is putting it all on the line here for you guys today. So Kelly, are you with me over there?
I am. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the broadcast. Now, I've been following your Twitter page. I know you're up for re-election this year. We're all rooting for you. You and Daniel McCarthy, he's another one I love. But I am seeing so much happen today with our freedoms lost, freedom being taken out from underneath us like I've never seen before. I mean, we had H1N1 pandemic back in 2009. We even had Spanish flu, worst pandemic, in the last 100 years and whatnot. And the regulations back then were nothing compared to what we're seeing today. So I guess from your point of view, since you're currently state representative here in Arizona, what are some of the things that are going on that, some of you are being silenced at the legislative branch and not able to speak, and governors and mayors are kind of taking up positions and doing basically via the executive orders what they want. So tell us what's going on and how are they getting away with that?
Well, how are they getting away with it? I think we are in a crisis of a lack of knowledge of how government is supposed to work. I think people have had a lack of education in that department. And so now it's anything goes. We kind of have this CEO mentality. Our governor was a CEO of Cold Stone Creamery. And then, he joked about he's the CEO of Arizona. The states don't have a CEO. The president isn't even the CEO. We have three equal branches of government, co-equal. So the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and the executive. And we have somehow along the way grown the executive at all levels, the mayor, the governor, and the president, so that they can write these executive orders, write laws, and no one questions it until we get into a situation where we are now. And what I'm trying to do is to re-educate everybody, the young folks, all the way back to those of us who've forgotten. It's not a subordinate position to be a legislator. We are actually the ones, the keepers of the law. We write the law, and the governor just is there to veto if something comes through, the last chance, to fix something, a bad law. So it's not for the governor to write executive order after executive order after executive order. And we have ceded our power over to the executive. So what I'm trying to do is to remind everybody, look, we have a system of checks and balances so that these kinds of things won't happen. And everyone was afraid of this virus. So we kind of sat back and allowed this to happen. And then we're like, wait a minute, this can't be right. This can't be happening to us. We just had a man that was finally, the charges were dropped yesterday. He was the first person to be arrested here in the state for keeping his little shop open a mile down the street from the Walmart. Walmart allowed to stay open, his shop forced to be shut down, and he kept it open. He had the exact same business license as Walmart, but yet he was arrested. Thank God that was dismissed yesterday after how much pain and suffering. So, we have to stand up to this. We have to remind each other this is not how it was supposed to be, virus or no virus.
So can you give me an example? I mean, because I know this happens in multiple states, but here in Arizona, Ducey, particularly, the way I understand it is he didn't seek the counsel of the legislator or even need to go through you guys. He just kind of said, okay, this is what we're going to do based on his own authority, based on his own opinion, based on his own insight, without really seeking the counsel or advice. When in reality, you guys are the ones who should be saying that, correct?
This is a hard slap in the face to bring us to a realization of what can happen when someone has absolute power. We loved Doug Ducey and what he did for the state. Our economy was booming. Everything was going great. People were moving to our state. Jobs were being created. everything was going great as far as the economy went. And then this happens, and because the legislators back in 2002, after the anthrax scare and the bioterrorism thing after 9/11, gave this widespread power to a governor, whoever it would be, when that happened. And I don't know, they expected it to go on 4 months, 6 months, a year. And so here we are, and the governor has the authority to manage this crisis with his advisors, but he hasn't taken the advice of the legislature. He's not consulting with the attorney general's office. He's got his own private attorneys that he's hired for his staff, and I'm calling it the Privy Council at this point, and that's the only group he's consulting with, along with the leads of his agencies and some folks from DC. And that's not enough. That's not how this was meant to be operated. And now we can see in retrospect, boy, we've really messed it up in Arizona. Everyone is saying that, and I feel for the governor, because he's trying to do this on his own on one hand, but we've been asking to be brought to the table for a long time, and he's ignoring us. And his statement that came out in the paper the other day was, I'm not interested in giving up any of my power, the length of the time that I have this control, or the breadth of the what I have control over. So he has made it very clear he is not interested in meeting with us. We have a lot of good information that we bring from all around the state. One of the examples is Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where he's saying the trouble's coming from. The people in the bars, shoulder to shoulder, no mask, drinking, and all the things that they do, packed in, hundreds and hundreds of people in one small block area. And he's rightfully concerned that that could increase the spread. And then down in Tombstone, Arizona, which completely relies on tourism and bed tax, they have small little bars, small little places tourists come. They're not packed in. They have tables spread apart. They're following the guidelines, but yet they have to shut down because of what's going on in Scottsdale. The idea of a representative government is that the legislators down in Tombstone could be bringing forward that information to the governor and say, look, governor, don't punish the rural areas and shut them down. Let's do it county by county. Let's have a better approach. But we weren't consulted. And so it's just, he's painting with the broom. And, the Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees you a representative form of government, not a monarchy. And right now we are under a monarchy. And even less than that, the monarchs would have to consult with Parliament, when we had the Magna Carta and everything. But this governor is got his own little privy council and making decisions, changing his mind, going, applying this to bars and tubing down the river, but not to hair salons and things like that. It's not making sense. It's not working for any of us. And so it's time for him to bring us to the table so we can help like we ought to be.
No, I agree. I mean, anyone who's sitting there and not seeking the appropriate counsel, which is what we elected you guys for, you guys are our voices, and there's a lot of you. And just to sit there and act like a dictator dictating, you said monarch. And this is what we're getting, and not just here in Arizona, but all across the country. So what do we do to fix this as citizens, as people? How can we stop this? Because right now we're in a mess, and I foresee lockdown after lockdown after lockdown. The way that we're going here in Arizona and many countries. What can we do? How do we fix it?
In Arizona, what you can do, if you live here, you can call your representative and you can tell them you want them to sign on to the petition that we're circulating. If 2/3 of us sign the petition, we give it to the governor, he has to call us back into special session. We closed our session down May 26th of this year, which is a little bit late, but every year we're there for around 100 days. Then we go home for the rest of the year. We come back the next year. So it's normal for us not to be in session right now, but we're not in normal times. We are in a crisis. So it's incumbent on us to come back to special session. So that's what we were asking the governor, bring us back into special session so we can be at the table. He communicated he's not interested. So now we have a second way to do that, and that's 2/3 of us signing this petition, and we can get back in. So I am this weekend going around the state and getting signatures on the petition from my fellow colleagues to say we want to come back to work. It's an election year. Ballots just went out and are arriving in people's mailboxes for the next few weeks. And so everyone's busy doing that. But in my opinion, we need to be doing both. We need to be addressing the problem that's facing us right now so that we don't have people like we had in Winslow, Arizona, being handcuffed for trying to put food on his table. So, this is like a highest priority. Everyone should drop what they're doing. We should come back to work. We can do both. We can campaign and we can get out there. But our job right now is to be the voice of the people in our district. And I want to do that. I want to see us all come back to the table and take care of this issue.
Awesome. So for those of you who are in Arizona, start contacting your legislators now. Don't wait. Send them an email, text them, email them. You can go get information. I think AZ Voter Guide, if they don't know what district you're in, I think you can find it off of that. But what about for those people who find themselves in a similar situation that are not in Arizona? What would you recommend they do?
Well, there's this group called NCSL, National Conference of State Legislators, and they have compiled a list of all the statutes among all the states around the country. You can see what your state's statutes are. You would just Google NCSL and emergency powers of the governor, and you would see where the state lies as far as the laws go. If you want to do some studying up and educate yourself, but everyone should be contacting their representatives, their senators, and letting them know. Honestly, right now, people are inclined to contact their congressmen, and they're expecting Congress to take care of this. But this isn't a congressional issue. This is a local issue. You can contact your mayor and your city council members. You can contact your legislators, but this is a state and a local issue. And so it's not about contacting the president. It's not about contacting your congressman or your U.S. senator. You have to go local on this one because this is a local issue. And it's a great reminder that there's so much more to politics than Washington, D.C. That's so far removed. They can make statements and everything, but they cannot help us on this issue. And that's what federalism is. Most of us don't know what federalism means. And it means that the federal government and the state governments are sharing the burden of government. And anything that's not listed in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution is regulated to the states. Healthcare is not listed there. It's not for the federal government to manage our healthcare. All of these things are local level. And so you need to be learning who are your state representatives, who are your state senators, who's your mayor, who are your council members. You can easily contact any of them on Facebook, on Twitter. They're very accessible, far more than your U.S. senator or your congresswoman or congressman. So get to know them, go and set up a meeting with them, let them know how you feel and that you want them at the table and not letting these governors just rule like a monarch and get them going. I think everyone's kind of stunned and they don't know what to do. The legislatures need to get involved. The business owners, they need to go to the attorneys and file a lawsuit. They have standing in this. They can bring a lawsuit forward. They can join together and do a class action suit. Our constitutional rights are being violated left and right. And we gave our governor these powers in 2002 in the statutes. But does that mean that's a constitutional statute? Maybe not. And it needs to be challenged in court. Somebody who's been harmed by these actions has standing and can bring a lawsuit forward. So if you're a business owner that's been shut down, if you've been, your rights have been violated, get together with others, do a class action lawsuit, use the judicial branch, or go and use your legislative branch. There's supposed to be equal powers, and we're not using it because many of us don't know about it. And so get educated, get active, and I think we can get this done.
Oh, yeah. And I agree. I think that's the main question that I get asked, up here. Well, what am I supposed to do? What can I do? And a lot of times, it's contact your legislative body or your local. And I think that's a really good point because a lot of the times we always go straight to Congress or straight to the president. And when we have elected officials locally, that right now, I think we need to get that power back at an even ground and not with somebody having a dictator power, so to speak. So if just kind of, I guess, in a somewhat of a closing question, what would do you see happening if we don't get a handle on that and start evening out the power? What could happen in the future, so to speak?
Yeah, if we don't act, if we don't get involved and we allow these things to continue to happen, we will and already have lost our freedoms the way we used to know it. So it's going to take education. We have to educate ourselves, and it's going to take determination. We're going to have to stand up to the bullies that are out there pushing for whatever they feel needs to happen, despite the Constitution, despite the rule of law. They want to they want to just steamroll over our rights and impose what they think, and that is coming at us hard and fast. And I want to see people stand up to it, even if it's just you. We have to do it. And once you do it, someone else will join you. And then when others see the two of you doing it, they will join you. And you have to stand up no matter what, because there was a time in this country where we were in a similar place. I think one of the New England states, their motto is "Live free or die." I want to say it's New Hampshire, but I'll probably get it wrong. But they were in that much of pressure that they were saying, "I don't want to live any other way than free," and people are kind of at that crossroads right now, and they're saying, "Is this the direction we want to go? Am I okay with staying quiet and allowing this to take over our country because it is?" Or do I take it that seriously like our founders did and say, I am not going to be the one that allows this to happen while I'm here, while we are up to bat. We have to stand up. We have to push back. We have to preserve our rights because, a lot of people seem to think that it's a broken system and we need to try something else like Marxism, socialism, even communism. And, that doesn't work. Look at Venezuela. This just doesn't work. And they've believed that lie, and it's dangerous, and once it's gone, it's next to impossible to get it back. So if you're that person, I just want to encourage you, be the first one to stand up, and if not the first, be the second. Once you guys stand together, others will join you, and we have to do this. We have to be unified, and we have to push back.
Amen to that. And I agree with what you're saying. And with that, I know you've got a website, electkellytownsend.com. I'll leave the information in the YouTube box below. But how can people get in contact with you? What do they need to know about voting and all of that?
Okay, well, I'm on Facebook. You can find me there. I'm on Twitter. You can send me a message through my website. I'm very accessible, so I'd love to hear from you guys. I do get a large volume, so sometimes I either miss it or it takes me a while to get back to you, but please reach out. But yeah, I am unopposed in this next election. So come November, assuming we have elections, I will be elected to the Senate because I don't have a challenger. But I am leaving my House seat here in the Arizona House. So I am, for the first time ever, endorsing somebody for my replacement. So I'm endorsing Forrest Moriarty. He's like me, only much stronger. If you like me, you'll love Forrest. So if you're in my district, please vote for Forrest Moriarty to replace me in the House. And his website is runforrestrun.us. Really great guy, very strong, very active. He's been down here for 2 years already, working hard. So I think if whatever district you're in, whatever state you're in, it's really important more than ever to be involved in your local campaigns right now. Find who your legislators are or who's running for legislature. Get behind a candidate. Donate $20 to them. Get your money out. Put your money where your mouth is. This is so important. It's not just about Washington, D.C. So get involved, and I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all of you out there, especially if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know what to do. This is scaring me. This is not the country I recognize. Well, we have to stand up. We are up to bat now. Our forefathers would be saying from the grave, hey, get out there and don't let what we did die in vain. We have to protect it. So the way you're going to do that, get involved locally and help your local candidates. Oh, one other thing too. You can become a precinct committeeman. Go to bapc.com and you'll learn about being a precinct committeeman. That is probably one of the most powerful things you can do right now. And if you become a precinct committeeman, they will help you get involved in the campaigns, who's good, who's not good. So there's a lot you can do. You do as much as you want, as little as you can. If you can only do a little bit, everything helps. But go beyond DC and come back home, and let's take care of our own houses and help your candidates locally.
Agreed. And well said. And thank you again for coming on the broadcast. I truly appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys again for tuning in. And just as a quick reminder, please don't forget to check out my partner at preparewithlisa.com. Right now, they have amazing special on their food supply kit, and you can get the 4-week food supply kit at $100 off. So don't forget to check it out and make sure your family is prepared with food storage at preparewithlisa.com. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, and that was Kelly Townsend signing out.